So autumn is finally here. The days are starting to get shorter. I just love the coziness that comes at this time of year. So I am sharing with you today my autumnal themed craft. I really felt like doing something seasonal and I just wanted to get a pop of color in here. And that is how I landed on my theme for this craft, going with bold orange. These are some really beautiful flowers that I've made using my Cricut machine. I definitely recommend doing this project with your Cricut machine because there is quite a lot of cutting involved. I'm so thrilled with the result. I love the way that it contrasts with my craft room. I just can't wait to show you guys how you could do the same thing at home. So I went to Hobbycraft just last week and I picked up all the bits that I needed for the project. So what you'll need is cardstock. I have chosen orange. Obviously, if you want to go with a different color theme, that's totally up to you, but I've gone with orange. And then the green I've used for the leaves is called a sage green color. That's actually from Amazon and I will link it for you below. Then you will also need some floristry wires. You can find those in Hobbycraft or I guess in any good gardening center. And also foam blocks, which you use for the flower arrangement. And then I also picked up some pine cones, some cinnamon sticks and dried oranges. I know that's all stuff that's like really cliche autumn, but actually I think it looks really good and it works really nicely for the project that we're working on today. You'll also need some crepe paper. I've chosen gold. However, you could also use floristry tape if you want to and already have that in your craft room. And then apart from that, obviously you'll need your Cricut machine. I would advise using one of the bigger ones, the Maker or the Explore. You probably could get away with doing this on the Joy, but you'd have to make your flowers much smaller, so I don't really recommend it. Okay, so let's start by cutting the flowers on our Cricut machine. If you just head over to Cricut Design Space and search for the Warata flower, search for it under projects or even in images, you'll find the particular flower we're using. And then just as normal, cut this on your machine using the heavy cardstock setting and your fine point blade. So once everything is cut, we need to assemble the project. What you will have for the flower is you will have the outer petals in orange, and you'll see in the middle of these they've got a series of slits. You need to just push these up from underneath, and by doing that you'll create an opening in the middle. And then take something, I used a bone folder, but you could use like a ruler, something with a hard edge, and just put a gentle curl into those petals, pointing upwards in the direction that the tabs are folding up as well. Then take the second of those, do the same thing, and then layer them on top of each other. And you can hot glue them together at this point. I just put a ring of glue around where that hole has been created in the middle and stick the two together, but have them offset each other so that the petals form a full ring around. And so now we need to do the inner segments, and you'll see these have been cut into smaller individual segments. The first thing to do is to connect them together. So lay them out in height order, have the tallest ones and then going down to the shortest, and you'll see each one has a tab on the end, and you can slide that through the slit in the next one. Now once you've done that, you might find it helpful to actually glue that tab into place. What I've done for that is I used a glue pen, and then I just kind of applied pressure with an acrylic block that I use when I'm working with stamps and embossing powders. But however you want to do this, you might want to glue it into place, just because when we roll it can be a bit easier. So what you want to do now is the same thing. Take your bone folder and put a gentle curl into each of those petals. You want to start rolling from the longest petal. You want to roll so that the curve of the petals is facing inwards. And so just roll all the way to the end of the petals. And what you do now is place those petals inside that hole you created in the outer petals. I turn it upside down and I hot glue the back of it to glue everything into place. The next thing we'll do is to take a piece of floristry wire and we're going to cover it. I've used crepe paper, and all I've done is I've left about about 1 inch at the bottom so that I can stick it into the foam when I'm arranging the bouquet. And then I've used my glue gun to just glue the crepe into place at the bottom, and then I've just wound it round the wire all the way to the top, using more glue at intervals to keep the whole thing in place. If you've got floristry tape, that might be an easier option because it's already a bit sticky. And the final bit is to get the leaves that we cut in green, and you'll see that they have got score lines around the base. So fold the leaves upwards along those score lines, and again put a gentle curl into them. And then all you'll do is layer the flower and then the floristry wire and the leaf underneath, and glue all of that together. And then just repeat that for as many flowers as you want to do. One thing that I have done is for some of my flowers, I folded the top of the floristry wire down to give a shorter stem so that I'd have some variation of height in my finished bouquet. Oh, they're looking so good. Okay, all we have to do now is to assemble the project. So I'm using a tall and thin vase, so I had to cut the foam block into about half the original size. This is super messy, so you know, put out some newspaper or have the Hoover handy when you do this. And then I would also suggest covering it in some tissue paper, or I've actually used my crepe paper, just around the outside so that when you see it inside the vase, you don't see the color of the original block. Obviously leave the top of it clear for the stems of the flowers to go into. And then what I did is I just arranged the orange slices around the base. I did the lowest layer first just to cover the area where the foam block is. Then I put in all of my flowers and just kind of arranged them to look nice with different heights, and then added more orange slices around. And actually one thing that I did decide to do once I'd finished all that is to add some leaves. So all I did was cut strips of my green paper that I'd used for the leaves on the Cricut, and then I sort of tapered off the end with some scissors, added a bit of curl to that using my bone folder, and then I've just arranged them in the vase. I haven't glued them in place or anything like that. And then I've chosen to style it with a really stunning cheese board, which I'm in love with, and the rest of the pine cones and cinnamon sticks, and I just love the end result. I really hope you guys enjoyed this project. I definitely love the result. I think it was so worth the effort that went into making these flowers. I think I need to create a new centerpiece for this craft room, if not every month, then every season. So I might start coming up with some Christmas inspiration for you guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so you don't miss out on any of my videos. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Until then, happy crafting!